All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to episode 92 of the Productivity Academy Q&A. Just thinking about switching up the title right there. I'm not sure why I started to slow down and think like, should I rename this on the fly? And the answer is no. But anyways, just wanted to say hi. We got some good questions we're going to go over today. If anyone's watching live in the group, you can go ahead and ask your questions and answer those as I have time. I'll check the Facebook page here off to the side from time to time. And other than that, just wanted to say, if you're watching the replay, that's great. You can come join us come join us in the free Facebook group. You can find the link below if you're checking this out on YouTube. You do have to answer some questions. It's pretty tricky, like what's your biggest productivity issue and how did you hear about the group? But it would just want to make sure that we get people in the group who are truly interested in productivity, time management, automation, all that sort of good stuff. So with that said, let's jump into it. I'm going to hop over here onto my other screen, and a couple of really good questions. So what we're going to talk about first is, having either yourself or knowing someone who's never finishing projects. You're kind of jumping around and taking off or leaving things unfinished. So as far as suggestions or techniques on how to do that or how to get around those issues and really stay until something's finished. And I think that I looked around and wrote some notes down before this, and I think that there's some really good advice out there, and the one that I see a lot and I completely agree with is to be very selective, right? Instead of saying yes to everything, just working on saying no to more projects, and I think that will help. And whether you form your own filter, which you have to over time, whether it's mentally or you have something on paper or in a spreadsheet, like I use my focus finder where I just kind of will do a brain dump every once in a while of everything and then really score it and see what it is that's actually the most important and what I need to be doing. This isn't something I do on a daily basis, and if you're interested in seeing it, just let me know. I've shared it before. I don't have the link handy, but happy to share that as well. It's a good way of just getting stuff out of your head from time to time, maybe on a quarterly or monthly basis, and then seeing, okay, truly what is the most important stuff I should be working on. So going through that process, whatever it is for you, if it's just mentally or if it's, like I said, writing it down, but starting off with that so that you have less distractions and, not so much maybe shiny project syndrome where you want to go and do all these different things, but then not just stopping there, not just narrowing it down to one or two things. But then once you have the project you're going to work on, tell yourself or literally list them out, write them down. What are the benefits? Like, what are you going to get out of this project? What is it that makes you want to do this so badly, and what made it so important on your list? Is it a revenue goal? Is it, getting something off your plate because it's going to remove a pain point, whether it's stress or commitment to clients, whatever it is, list those things out. And then set yourself a reminder or if it's with a team, this is part of team reviews, is going over, hey, what's working, what's not, where are we stuck, and reviewing, hey, what are our goals, why are we working on this stuff? And you can do this with yourself as well, and just reminding yourself, okay, when I finish this is like the payoff of what I'm going to get, so that you don't just kind of spin your wheels and find yourself, hopping from thing to thing. So that can be really helpful to remind yourself. We're all human, I assume. We all, have issues with longevity of being able to focus on a project for a certain amount of time. It's tough. And it can be easy to lose sight, or you get into the tough parts or the kind of, the middle of a project, kind of the lull, and you see something else cool over here, like, ooh, I want to go start that. Remind yourself what's going to happen, what you're going to get, the benefit, and that will help you overcome that area. Lastly, this is why I brought this up about working as a team or doing a team review, but if you are working on your own, have some sort of accountability. This can be helpful, and generally if this is going to work for yourself or not, and if you don't, then I suggest trying it. This could be, maybe joining a little mastermind group, people who are doing or going after the similar type of goals. I'm a part of one of these, and I've done them for years. I highly, highly recommend it, and letting them know what you're working on, and it's just that, in most cases, informal accountability of, well, somebody else knows what I'm working on. I told them what I'm going to do. And, do I want to explain to them why I decided to just continue to drop these projects and move on? And sometimes that can be enough, that's not the carrot, that's the stick, right? That can be enough of a stick to keep us on path. And it's also just another way of reviewing the project and maybe the benefits, because if you're involved with other people and you're telling them and they know and they're engaged and they understand what you're doing, then you're getting that accountability, you're getting that feedback, and that will help you stay on track. So hopefully that helps. I think that any of these can be helpful, but when you put them together, it's really, really raises your likelihood of finishing, or at least getting better about, moving towards completion of a project. All right, second question for today. Let's see here. Had a good question, which I really like because I just started, I say just, a few months ago started using Notion. So, the question is, how would you compare Evernote and Notion? And this can be a very in-depth question, but I'll keep it relatively simple based on what I've seen. And I'm now moving more into Notion, and certainly recognizing that there's some limitations. And then I'm a longtime Evernote user, so that's kind of my bias for answering this. And I'll start with Evernote. I think that, the advantages is its history. It's been around a long time. There's certainly things that aren't perfect about it, but it's been very well designed. It works fairly well most of the time on all platforms. And you've got, tons of info for people who have used it to set up different organizational systems. It's got tags. With the notebook setup, there's people out there who have made entire courses about this. So I think that is definitely a plus. It's got the history, it's got the legacy information. You search for something, I guarantee you somebody's probably already done it and never know. Getting started is really simple. I've never re-downloaded, I guess, or started over with Evernote in the last couple of years, so I don't know what their kind of walkthrough is, but I would imagine at this point it's probably pretty polished in terms of, getting you in there. But I just remember opening it up and being like, well, this is pretty simple. I get it. I have an inbox. I can do some things, and obviously you want to go further than that, but integrating something like getting things done. I think, a lot of that was based around using Evernote. And again, there's a lot of other courses that use that. Something that I liked about it was the ability to annotate PDFs. That is in one of the paid versions. But you can import a PDF, open it, annotate it, draw, highlight, do whatever, save it in there. That's pretty handy, and I know a lot of people really like that. With Notion, and what I've started using this for, and just to give a little bit more background, was I saw the power of a bit of a wiki as well as being potentially an Evernote replacement. And then mixing in some ideas from reading Tiago Forte's blog. If you haven't checked it out, just Google his name, and Praxis, I think, is the name of his blog. He's got some great ideas, especially for progressive summarization, as far as how to get the most out of your notes and content you take in without spending a lot of time up front. And then his para organizational system. So I was looking at that and thinking, okay, how can I do this? He lays it out in Evernote. But I started looking at this and realizing I kind of wanted something more powerful where I need to have more layers, basically. So Notion came up. I forget who recommended it to me, but I started digging into that, and right away I saw, this could definitely be a solution, because one of its positives or its advantages is it is extremely flexible. There's a lot you can do with it. You can have a page with a database of other pages that are interlinked, and there's all sorts of crazy stuff you can do. You could also just write a blog post in Notion, right? You could copy and paste an image. So it's all over. It's what you want it to be, which is a great and can be a really daunting thing. When you start digging into it, you realize how much power there is. And so for myself, kind of got to put the blinders on a little bit and be like, okay, what's the one thing I want to do in Notion today? Or maybe I want to learn one new thing, instead of going down the rabbit hole of learning, trying to do 50 different things. So I think that could be a disadvantage depending on how you view it. Is there's definitely can be a steep learning curve if you decide to really try to, I don't think you could figure out everything at once, but if you try to take it all on. And I'll just leave it at that and say that I think that it's worth checking out regardless of where you're at right now. If you've used Notion and not Evernote, or you've used Evernote and not Notion, my guess is most people have at least tried both of them. And I would say that there's very few deal killers with either. I think it depends a lot of what you want to do. What I'm hearing from a lot of people is a wiki sort of a setup is working really well with Notion. and their ability to work really well with tables and databases is also huge. So maybe you're setting up a content calendar or anything like that, and where you want to have yourself or your team involved in that, that's working really well in Notion. I really enjoy it. I like it. Evernote, definitely legacy solution. It's great at what it does. It's very simple to use. And again, there's a lot of information out there how to put it to use. So that's just my quick opinion. I think as I get deeper into Notion, I'll definitely get some more detailed data via the Productivity Academy about how I'm using it, how I see it being useful to other people, and how that either may help people transition from Evernote or use them both. I think that there's nothing wrong with using both, so long as you're not getting overwhelmed from having so many apps and stuff. So anyways, let's see, check real quick, see if there's any questions. Don't see anything from the group, so I think that's going to do it for this week. Appreciate everyone watching, and I'll be back, I think next week is already going to be the 1st of August. Wow. Alright, so it's going to be August next week. I will see you then, and if you want to, again, if you're checking the replay and you're not in the group, you can find the link below, or you can hit subscribe on YouTube, stay up to date, obviously, with these videos, as well as videos about team building, automation, app reviews, all that sort of good stuff. Alright, have a good one.